Welcome to the Lessons from the Leap podcast, where we showcase visionary entrepreneurs and leaders, sharing their incredible journeys and inspiring stories. Let's dive into the show.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gloucester Mansoor, your host for Lessons from Leap show, where I interview entrepreneurs, startup founders, business owners, and leaders of SaaS firms and startups. We explore their business journeys and discuss how they create innovative software solutions for their employees. This episode is brought to you by Technology Rivers, where we bring innovation through tech and AI that solves industry problems. We're a custom software development agency where we provide two main services. First, helping businesses in process automation, where we help them improve their operations through AI and technology. Secondly, we work with startup founders, entrepreneurs, and product owners in creating innovative software products, SaaS, web, mobile apps. Most of our work focuses on the healthcare industry, where we assist health tech companies in developing a HIPAA-compliant web and mobile products. If you're interested in working with us, go to technologyrivers.com and tell us more about your product. Today, our guest is Dustin Ward. Dustin Ward hails from Presque Isle, Maine, and is a 2010 graduate from University of Southern Maine with bachelor's degree in political science and Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary in 2019 with Master's of Divinity. He operates two businesses as both a golf entrepreneur and equity and reconciliation advocate for his companies Tea Time and It Is Time respectively. When not working, he enjoys time with his two boys, ages 7 and 4, his wife of 15 years, and golfing on as many courses around New England as he can. He has also been elected member to his town's select board from 2021 to 24 and ran for a Maine State Senate in 24 as an independent candidate. Dustin, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you
for
having me. Yes. That intro reminds me of how busy it's been. So it's good to be here.
To start off, can you share a bit about your journey from studying political science and theology to becoming an entrepreneur and equity advocate?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had originally gone in for political science thinking I was going to get into politics. I soon got the call to go into ministry in 2012. So that's where I went and got my Master of Divinity, thinking I'd be in the local ministry, be a pastor. And then all of a sudden, after the events of the death of George Floyd, felt that wanted to shift into more racial reckoning work and was going to do it with the church. However, there was a lot of toxicity that came out of that. So I actually removed myself from ministry and stepped into building my own business because I thought, you know what, why not I put my money where my mouth is and see if I can start my own business. And so that's what I began in 2020. And I tell a lot of people, I wish I would have known sooner I could build my own business. I could start from the ground up because it has been super rewarding and a joy to dive into actually now two businesses.
Congratulations on starting a business. So now we are on it. So can you talk more about your businesses? It seemed like in 2020, you launched It Is Time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in 2020, It Is Time, the focus was really the market was asking for a lot of consultants who could answer the tough questions of what was going on at the time, especially when it came to race and identity. So I began in a very Zoom type world, educating people, doing 3 or 4 hour trainings online and helping people understand the history, the conversation, and that's where the two pieces come in of the equity, but also the reconciliation, which again is a ministry word. It just means bridging together. We were having a lot of folks who did not know and didn't know how to speak about the conversation. So 2020 was a lot of educational training. What ended up happening is I shifted from that to doing a lot more in-person, facilitating committees, conversations, being more hands-on with a lot of my clients. And we would do 1 to 2 year journeys of making actionable items. So over the last 4, almost 5 years now, that has sort of been the ebb and flow. Is that business is specifically going in, working with clients and trying to help them move that conversation forward. What ends up happening in between all that is I'm an avid golfer too. Love the sport. I've golfed since 2008. but really got serious back in 2019. And so last year, when I started the second business in 2024, last year I kept having this issue where I was having trouble finding folks to play with. Either I wouldn't know where they are, text message, emails, or I'd be wanting to do a scramble, right? Four-person scramble. Couldn't find anybody. And so I said out loud to myself, there's got to be an easier way or a more central way to find people who want to golf. And sure enough, it came to me that let's create an app and get a community together of golfers who can empower each other to play. And so that was the impetus for that business, which now we have a launched app that reflects the tee time, which is exciting as well.
Oh, congratulations on the second business. So,
Hey.
that's as I heard, like 2019. I think that was a good time. I would say as we were getting into COVID, and the golf was one of the games probably you could play with distance. So probably a good timing from that angle.
It absolutely was. So in 2019, well, I was starting to really get a knack for it. When you learn it, it's always an ugly scene. You're trying to work through a lot of different things because it's not natural to me. But when 2020 and 2021 happened, a lot of golf courses found ways to make it workable that they could have people on, and that's when golf actually shot up because people were looking for a way to participate in some activity and yet still feel safe in a COVID environment. So you saw golf and people interested in golf shoot right up. And because of that, a lot of people got interested and it opened up a lot of people to play with that I had not played with before. So that was a really exciting piece too.
But golf has often been seen as an exclusive sport. So how are you working to make it more welcoming and inclusive for our different groups?
So yeah, so there's a few ways in which it is exclusive. Some I can solve, some I haven't yet solved. One of the ways we're trying to solve that is the ability to know who you're playing with, and that's always been a huge barrier. Is it feels exclusive because you'll get partnered up with people and come to find out their skill set is way more than yours, and so it actually limits people feeling like they can go on a course and play. This app, what we're hoping to do is sort of bridge that and allow people to know who they're golfing with. And again, right on the onset, we sort of ask for people's handicap and we'll work with explaining what a handicap is, but it sort of helps people know, well, where's the skill level? But also the other thing too is, let's say you get on a course, you find somebody you really love playing with. What ends up happening is you get to the last hole, you shake hands, and how do you connect with them again? They're a great playing partner, but how do you connect with them? Well, the app then allows that barrier to be eliminated where you couldn't connect with them unless you grabbed phone numbers or emails. I can go back in that app and I can see, oh, this individual I just played with has another tea time coming up. Really enjoyed playing with them. They're looking for another person. I can be that other person. So it removes some of those barriers of not knowing who you're playing with and the fear of playing with someone who's just really better than you or someone you don't know. The other exclusive parts that we're hoping to solve, and maybe as we grow, that will happen, is the financial piece. Golf's an expensive sport, and so working to find ways to mitigate that expense is something in the future I'm hoping to do as well.
Cool. Any thoughts on that? How are you trying to, or
Yeah.
that's something we leave it for future?
If folks have grand ideas, I'd love to hear them. But the big thing is the equipment, and so my hope is that as I play with individuals, one of the things that happens is people go through equipment a lot. You wear equipment down. So my thought is, I'd like to house or start to hold on to key pieces of equipment that I could then provide either on a rental basis or just give to individuals. So it's actually sort of the starting point would be how do you collect either used or still workable equipment, whether that's bags, clubs, anything like that, shoes, so that those who want to get into the game but know how expensive it is can have at least an entry point and not have to worry about the equipment. And I do that for a lot of folks I play with. I have an additional bag of clubs ready to go, a starter kit. So if they're like, I have nothing, no worries. Just show up. I can give you what you need to at least enter into the game. So something along those lines and sort of building from there is sort of the future.
No, that's a good point. Obviously, right now people go to Facebook Marketplace or other places. In the past, it was Craigslist. So, but those are all broad platform. This is where you also uh, know who the person is.
Yeah.
So you not really from anybody. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
So
I'm excited to sort of to tweak it out a little bit more and just and see, how can I get it more organized than just an idea? How can we put some structure and some framework to it?
yeah, I think as you're working on it, the dots will connect, because the important part you talked about earlier is the social part. And this is not just the problem with golf, with any activity. I play badminton personally. Some people are playing pickleball. The similar challenges, you meet people, you don't know how to connect with them afterward.
Right.
So I mean, yes, there may be exclusive group, but then other than that, like for example, I go to Lifetime, I play pickleball sometimes. So don't know anybody afterward.
Right.
So because the tool is, there's no tool to give you. I mean, yeah, there are tools, but they're all disconnected. You can create your own WhatsApp group. So it's one of those challenges. So having one place where you schedule uh, your meeting, you also have conversation afterward, and along with those conversation will come into, oh, I don't have a club, I don't have this thing, or how do I get it, or I am now getting rid of this stuff, and I'm because I'm buying upgrading my equipment.
Yeah, and that's another thing too is, as people don't know what to do, what do you do with a used set of clubs? If you don't have a community or a connection point, you might go to the marketplace, but what if you could go to the app? You have a community that already, is engaged in golfing, and you can know people. There may be a space too, whereas, hey, I got an extra set. And that's a space in our community that allows for you to sort of offload that and then get new equipment. And it creates less waste because I still think there's good equipment out there for people who just want to try it. And as they get better, then they can justify buying into or investing into equipment.
Yeah, yeah. This is really great. So, what kind of response have you seen from early users of the app so far?
Uh, it's an interesting sort of concept where I've demoed it. I've showed people. We got a launch event too that we're working on for October. People love the idea, and it's funny because you'll see their reaction. They'll go, why didn't I think of that? But they see the value in it, which is first huge important piece is they see value. It's something that I think they understand that they absolutely would use. I think where we're trying to make the transition is how do you shift culturally to get people to jump on the app as their first mode of, hey, where are the tee times at? And that hasn't happened. So for me, my 5 to 10 year hope and plan is that we create some of this software. We go from app to really integrated into a lot of the golf courses so that when you make those tee times, you can make it through our app and it's connected to the golf course. And then who you're golfing with at any local golf course. So right now it's sort of existential or it's external, but to integrate would be great. But that's where I think one of the things is culturally getting people to instead of go to a course's website, make their tee time with their software, and then come to our app to put that on there, make that seamless. And I think that's going to be a long-term process. But for now, people love the idea and they're like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. I've needed that. And showing that need is really what we want to keep doing.
Yeah, and then not only that, but also integration. So, like connecting with other tools as well as software. So that reminds me that we built one app for another golf startup, which is that helps you with your playability. It gives you AI recommendation based off of your level and everything. So probably at some time we'll talk about that as well in a different
Yeah.
moment.
Yes.
So
There's a lot I've been thinking about in terms of integration. So yeah.
yeah, so you shared that building an app came with a steep learning curve. You didn't know about coding from the start. You didn't know how the process would work. So what has that process taught you as a business owner? What lessons do you learn along the way? And how is your experience? Sorry,
Uh,
asking too many questions at once.
no, those are good. Those are good questions. They're all tied together. It's interesting because to have the first business, it gave me insight into what I needed to do for the second business. The biggest thing that I learned is there are places, there are things that I cannot know that I just do not know. I was not brought up in a coding environment, and the ability to learn coding at this stage of my life would take, many years, and I'd already be behind. So I had to force myself to admit that I can't do it on my own. And consulting services is very much an individual solo operation unless you know how to scale it, unless you know how to pull people in and replicate some of that consulting. But consulting is based on personality, and people either like you and want you to be the consultant. They're not going to want someone that works for you to do it. What I learned from the consulting is that there's a peak, there's a maximum of what I can do personally. It's just in terms of time. And that means that I need to find people that are going to help. And so because I didn't know coding, I didn't know how to do it. I couldn't learn it in just an hour or a couple hours. I needed to trust that someone else knew it better and would help me get launch the app. And that's where again I reached out and found your services and to trust in somebody else to say, "Hey, can you do this for me?" That's huge for an entrepreneur because you start off thinking, "Well, I got to do everything," because you're worried about the product you have and you want to control everything. And I'm type A. I'm a huge control freak. So for this second business to learn to trust somebody else to do a piece that I don't understand is a huge learning curve, and it's the biggest risk you have to take starting out.
Cool. And that remind me, there's one of my favorite book, How Not Who,
Mm.
from Dan Sullivan of Strategic Coaching. He talks about why is it important that you find who will do your work rather than how to do it, because we're not all expert. I mean, everything, if you want to do really good, there are people who have expertise. And glad to hear that you went that route of um, of finding an expert so that you can focus on growing the business, and somebody else can build you that.
Yeah, and that's been a huge one learning curve, but also it's been really comforting because you're right. I can spend time on pushing the name out, pushing the brand, getting those pieces in, and then talking to people about it. I don't have to spend, every waking hour trying to code it. What was really exciting too is to have a product in hand during this high peak golf season to show people. So if I was coding it, I'd still be, working at it. Like we wouldn't have it where it's at right now. So that's another thing is time. Time is such a huge value as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So with AI and even concept like vibe coding, that's entering the scene. How do you see technology shaping the future of tea time and apps like tea time?
Yeah, no, I've been excited about where it goes. So for me, I'm still trying to bridge how can AI, how can the concepts of AI, what it brings to the table, actually create more of a seamless and integrated experience for a user? Are there ways in which someone can find individuals or search and filter individuals they want to play with using AI? Because right now it's on a personal level. You sort of have to go through and see what's out there. But I think AI can take all of that large amount of information as we grow and maybe scale it down so that someone can consume it in a relative way. So right now, when you post your tea time, it's based on location too. It's based on time and location, which I think are huge. So if you want to know what's around you for tea times for people who are at local golf courses, that's great within a certain mileage. But let's say there's tons of those. Let's say you've got 700 all in a local area of people who are all using the app. Could AI bring that to a more manageable level if you can filter a little bit better? So I've been thinking about, well, where does the concepts of AI, the amount of data that it can consume and spit out, how does that help our app? And I think those are some of those ways of making a seamless user experience.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And obviously with AI, you can do a lot more in terms of predictions. And so we're seeing a lot of those directions, like some of those business ideas where people did not have before. Now with AI, a lot of those are possible, and people are coming up with all these innovative ideas and then creating different apps for those. And you have been candid about the challenges of being a small business owner while building an app. So what are some of those lessons you have learned about navigating those nuances?
The first and foremost is always capital. It's always finances. You got to be scrappy. You got to be resourceful. That's why, trusting the right people because I've heard some horror stories of people who will invest tons of money and lose it. And so just being strategic about, okay, where can my dollar stretch and what does it get me in the long run? And again, it doesn't mean it's cheap. It just means, can it get me time? Can it get me value add? Can it get me a quality product? So those have been some learning curves, is how do you stretch a dollar? How do you make it resourceful and efficient? You've also got some lessons that I've learned of how can you be boots to the ground, on the ground, always. They say always selling, but I don't feel like I'm selling something. I'm always presenting, like I'm always on. And that's a big thing too, is when you have a product, nobody knows about it. Who else is going to tell them? It's got to be me. And convincing people and getting people to get excited about it, and then telling them again and telling them again, so that they can have that come to their mind when they talk to their friends and their golfing buddies. So that's another big thing too, is in consulting work over the last 4 years, it's been really nice because it's word of mouth, right? Someone will say, hey, you should go talk to Dustin about doing whatever. But in this realm, what I've learned is I've got to always be selling. I always got to find an opportunity to put my product out there and to say, hey, this is why it's great. Check it out, and really move in that direction, which is very different than consulting work.
Cool, cool. And you mentioned that the value of working with partners like Technology Rivers instead of going it alone. Why was this collaboration so important for you?
Uh,
And how was your experience on that side?
Yeah, no, the reason I went with a partner, and again a trusted partner, it was part of it was word of mouth. I learned about Technology Rivers from someone that I trusted, who had worked with the organization before. So that was big. The other thing was knowing that someone also believed in the product I was providing. It was really comforting that I didn't have someone who was like, "Oh, that sounds sort of silly. Like, I don't think that's a good idea." You all sort of believed in it and believed in me. And again, that's a huge comfort where you're out here, you're all alone, you got an idea, you're hoping it's gonna be big, and someone else believes in the product too. So that was another reason I took that step. And then time is a huge value add. And when we sat down and looked at what could we get done in a very short amount of time, I'm still blown away. To have an idea in October and have it a functional app in June, less than a year, it's still mind blowing. And for a small business, for an entrepreneur, time is money, but time is everything. So that was a huge step too, and that's why I did it. So for me, the experience has been amazing. It's been awesome to work with you all and to work with Technology Rivers. Immediacy, connectivity. It again, we talked about fiscally efficient. My dollar has stretched, and that's been a real joy as well. So just all of the key things that make it worthwhile to have a partner has been right here.
Great, great to hear that. So running two businesses while raising a family obviously is not an easy task. So how do you balance everything?
There's two things I do. I make sure I do. One, I have key boundaries. I make sure that I am not overstretched, especially in the evenings. I work with my wife to make sure we do drop offs together as much as we can, so that we're engaged with our kids, so that we can interact with them. I don't want to miss things that they're doing. So the beauty of a small business, you can build your own schedule, and the curse is you build your own schedule, which means you got to find time to do things. So I try to find flexibility where I'm engaged with them, and then on off hours, I'm usually working on both and. So boundaries is a big thing, and then I make sure I take rest as much as I can. I know a lot of people, and I know there's a time period where grinding the 60 hours was advantageous. It's what people did. We're in a generation now that I don't want to show my boys that grinding 60 hours is the way to go, that that's somehow the epitome. It's, can you be happy, functional, and clear-headed at 40? And can you do it at 30? And that's why I love efficiency. If I can get the same work done in 32 hours as someone else gets done in 42, I feel like I've done the right thing. So for me, I find time to rest, stay recharged, keep my mind fresh, so that I can do the things I need to do.
I think the best thing you said is the rest part. That's the part a lot of people forget, and that's where people get overwhelmed. So that is the most important, at least in my perspective.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so and along the same line, so obviously with those two businesses that you founded, but you also served on the town's board. and then also ran for Maine State Senate.
Yeah. Yeah.
What connect all these different paths for you?
Well, it's a big connector. It's all people. And that's, I look back and I got 2 degrees that I feel like I don't use at all. But when I look at what overlaps, it's all about people. Politics is all about people. How do you engage with people? How do you listen to people? Ministry was all about people. How do you engage with people? So I think one of the thorough lines here, one of the threads, and especially as an entrepreneur, it's people. So I'm in the people business most of the time. And again, because of my political science background, I've always wanted to be in politics. I always wanted to have a voice, a seat at the table. So the best place to start is at the local level. And so that's, why I ran. And it was in a very crucial time, right? I had just built the business in 2020. This seat opened up in our town. I felt energized. I had a lot of support going into it. We're a small town. I mean, we only have 5,600 people. So something I could wrap my hands around. Didn't need a lot of experience, but learned a lot. So I ran. And not only did I win, I finished up a term for another individual. So that was a year. So I did that, ran again for a 3-year term. And then after having those 4 years under my belt, felt like, well, let's try Maine state politics. Let's try to take it a little bit further, and learned a huge lesson there that really is a full-time thing. That's you can do local politics somewhat part-time, somewhat off to the side, although it takes a lot of time from you. When you're running for a state seat, it's a full-time job. And I really didn't have as much time to give to it as I probably should have. We made some noise. I learned some lessons. But that was a big takeaway is if you're gonna go to that level, you need more time. And I didn't have it, a couple businesses, kids, it just the time I needed to spend to it wasn't there. So didn't turn out as I planned, but it was a good experience.
Yeah, it makes sense that sometime go back and reassess what are the priorities in life, because there are so many things we want to do, but you don't have a time for everything. So you
Yeah.
have to prioritize what works really, what were really one for you.
Yeah.
So finally, if you could leave our listeners one key lesson from your journey across public service, business, family life, what it would be?
Um, I have learned over the years that if you're not having fun, then don't do it. There's one of my favorite artists, Drake. He basically says, I'll stop doing it when I stop having fun doing it. He says it in a song, and so I've taken that to heart and say, I'll be done with it when I stop having fun with it. And if you're not having fun, if you're not enjoying it, if there's no joy in what you're doing, that's the reassessment. And there are moments where, especially in ministry, I did not get the energy out of it. It was draining me. And that was a good time. That's why I reassessed and felt like we needed to step away. So if you're not enjoying, if you don't have a passion for it, if it's not fun, then you got to reassess why you're doing it. So I would tell my listeners, if it's not fun for you at any point, if that's an energy drain when you wake up in the morning and it's the last thing you want to do, that may be a huge wake up call. For me, I love doing the small business, the entrepreneur. I love golfing. It is hard. Like, there's not saying that it's easy, but I will get up every day and do it, and I enjoy doing it, and I find a lot of energy from it, and that's how I know it's where I'm supposed to be.
Cool, cool. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time. So we have been talking to Dustin Ward, who has shared an amazing entrepreneurial and political journey. Dustin, where can people learn more about you?
Ooh, there's all kinds of spaces. So if you're curious about the consulting, that's it is time.me. It is time.me. That's my website, gives you all kinds of information. If you're curious about the app, it is teatime.com. That's our website. We're on Instagram at t.time18. I have a YouTube channel up, so just look for Dustin Ward. And then the app under Tea Time Connect on Android and Apple as well. So you can download it, try it out for 7 days for free, and tell me what you think of it. You can definitely get a hold of me, via the website or my email. It is teatime18@gmail.com. So there's a ton of ways you can find me. And, you could probably even Google my name and some good things will come up. So but those are the ways I would say connect in. Follow me on Instagram, look at the app, and then go on our website and take a look as well.
Yeah, and we will share these links in the podcast description as well. Thanks, Justin. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you on our show.
Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and look forward to the next time we have a conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lessons from the Leap podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll catch you next time.